Hey, it's Laura over here at Hyperstamper. Welcome back. Today's Antique Junk Journal is this beautiful book called The Spenders, and this is an 1884 book page. It was a school book, and I've taken this beautiful image of this little girl sitting on a stone bench in a garden. This is a vintage earring here, and it was a clip-on, so I snapped off the back. It's quite old. I think it's lovely. It's too bad I didn't have two. And then I ovaled out this. This is a different page than this was on, but I chose it because it says kindness rewarded, and I just think that's fabulous. So let me take you on a little journey here. Here's another bunch of vintage baubles here, which they're just fabulous. I got them from a vintage necklace. Let me show you the inside. Everything in here, of course, is authentic antique and vintage ephemera. Never use any commercial products. So let's show you what's in here before I put it in my Etsy shop, which is hyperstamper.etsy.com. Little cluster here, the original inscription from Sunnyside Farm, the Cluttons. I love it. This is the original first plate of the book. This beautiful Victorian woman here. She looks spectacular. First page. And of course, it says here 1902. First publication date. This book is actually from 120,000. Oh, yes. Okay. So there you go. 120,000. That's funny. This is a photograph from 1922, and it was in a photo album. And look at the beautiful Edwardian hats there. So we know this is early 1900s. And then this wonderful little picture on top. It looks like they might be on a boat there. And then another plate from another book. Speaking of Edwardian women, this is a wonderful pic here. So that is fun. Little pocket out of a children's book from the 30s and a 1950s original bingo card. Isn't that fun? I love it. A vintage botanical book here, and these are beautiful floral prints here. Just love them. And I did a little cluster up here with some vintage pieces. And I've got some vintage lace here, which is actually, that is antique lace. Sorry, my apologies. And then this is from Things to Make and Do from the 20s. Little piece up here. This is antique paper here from an old book. And there is this book. Actually, it's from this book. Yes, those are the first two pages there. And this is the Wonder Bread receipt from the 1950s. A little pocket here with a 1920s page. And this is a history book. Oh, yeah, this has a flip up as well. This is a history book page from the 1850s. So super old. This is just a fun piece from a magazine, how you can make your own jewelry. And then a really fun cluster here from the spine of a book. And another really great plate here. Glorious Adventures on a 1920s or 30s, 20s or 30s children's book page. That's sweet. I love it. Really hard, one of those wonderful hard children's book pages too. That's a great little illustration here. And this is from a 1920s book here. And look at these colors on this plate. It's fabulous. You can journal on the back of that as well. Put that in here. And then this was just a vintage postcard. And it says here 63 or 670326. So it's from 1967. So almost 50 years old. I just think it's beautiful. Beautiful. 1925 page again, Things to Make and Do. More botanical page. Look at how pretty that is. That's stunning. And just a blank piece of antique paper for journaling. Bobbsey Twin Pocket from the 50s. And then this is a great 1950s magazine page. It is actually German. They had just the most fabulous fashion pages. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, I'd wear any of those sweaters right now. Just amazing. So much fun to look at. It's just like a little journey through history, isn't it? Children's book page, vintage paper here. This is the 1950s page, or 1940s. I love this one. The Encyclopedia of Housekeeping. I would not buy that book. That's not my favorite thing to do. Look at this, 1956. National fan clubs. So these are the people from the different fan clubs. Elvis Presley, Pat Boone. Isn't this great? Eddie Fisher. Look at this. It's awesome. And then on the other side, just, National Radio Fan Club. A really special piece. Probably rare. little embroidery bits up here and here. Lots of fun. And then that is the inside of a library book that was withdrawn, put out of publication, or put out of circulation. Oh, this is a lovely plate from 1920 from the art education book. Look at these thistles. And then another one on the other side, just gorgeous. Another plate here. This is a spectacular one. I believe this one is from this, is it from this book? No, it is not. It's too small. And another children's book page down here. Encyclopedia Husband. Oh, I love this. Better than play. Journaling is better than play. Or is play. Journal making is definitely play. Another really fun antique book page that I turned into a journaling envelope with a fun cluster on it, including an interior spine piece. Vintage mat piece there. Antique music sheet. Another antique page here. This is from the Silver Skater. And just a little booklet here of some of my offcuts, antique papers. So you can journal in there too. Get in there. There we go. Some of this, this is the only thing in here that's not antique or vintage. But it is handmade paper, and they've infused some of these sprigs in here, which I love. That's 1920s, 1950s. Recipe book. Look at it, was well loved. This person really wanted that to stay intact. And this is from a Vintage Birds and Their Eggs book of North America. Look at that beautiful picture. Isn't that something? I love them. I'm running low on that size, which makes me very sad. And this is just a plate from 1896 from the Sunday Reading for the Young. These kids trying to escape the cow. And then in this 1920s pocket, we have this, which is from 1926, and it is fabulous. Can you see that? Wowie, how to make jams and jellies, gelatin, Wesson oil. Look at that. And it is in really good condition. So a very special piece, almost 100 years old. And the colors are, it's rare to have, they could really afford a lot, that advertiser, because they did full color on both sides. The Boy Who Could Not Swim story here. More vintage doilies, another vintage bird illustration there from the 60s. And here's a good old George Washington. That is, I believe, let me see, that is from the 1920s. Another piece of vintage lace. This is a piece of vintage embroidery. Isn't that fun? Some hand embroidering down the side there. And this is from the 1800s. It's just a little bit of a book that was torn to bits, but it's lovely. It's got some prayers and little motivational things in there. 1973, so a 50-year-old ledger page. Another fun Mother Goose from the 30s, Bye Bye Bunting. Here we go. Here's some vintage Monopoly money and a chance card, 1950 Pearls shop. Some feathers from my garden. And I love this night sky here, Escape at Bedtime story. Another very old plate from the early 1900s, a 100-year-old banknote. This is a little teeny tiny playing card from the 50s. And that brings us to the very last page of the book. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. Come back soon and don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.